the tired eyes. I'll soon be with you, my love.
Little girl, she's on my mind. No doubt about it, she looks so fine. She's the best girl that I ever had.
The 1960s changed music forever. Rock was no longer just catchy hooks and clean guitars. It was getting louder, heavier, and more rebellious. From distorted riffs to wild stage performances, these songs lit the fuse for hard rock and even heavy metal. Let's look at the 10 tracks that started it all.
Girl, you really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing.
This was the riff that shook the world. Before, You Really Got Me, rock guitar sounded clean and polished. Then came Dave Davies, who famously slashed his amplifier speaker cone with a razor blade to create that raw, distorted sound. The result was a gritty, aggressive riff unlike anything people had heard before. With its pounding simplicity and primal energy, the song gave birth to the power chord, a staple of every hard rock and heavy metal track that followed. Even bands like Van Halen would later pay tribute with their own high-octane cover.
Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't see my name.
What made You Really Got Me so groundbreaking was that it wasn't just catchy, it was dangerous, untamed, and rebellious. It kicked down the door for heavier rock to come, proving that attitude and raw sound could be just as important as melody. Without the kinks, hard rock might never have had its signature bite.
People try to put us down.
My Generation was pure rebellion captured on vinyl. When Roger Daltrey spat out the words, "Hope I die before I get old," it became the anthem of a restless youth ready to challenge authority. But it wasn't just the lyrics, it was the band's sheer aggression. John Entwistle's thunderous bass solo, Keith Moon's chaotic drumming, and Pete Townsend's slashing guitar style gave the song ferocity unheard of in mainstream rock. Those wild energy made concerts unpredictable and sometimes destructive, with smashed guitars and broken amps becoming part of the act. This attitude influenced not just the sound, but the attitude of hard rock itself.
Dig what we all talking about my generation.
My Generation wasn't polished. It was raw, loud, and confrontational, laying the groundwork for a band who wanted to push rock beyond catchy love songs into something explosive and rebellious. It wasn't just music. It was a declaration of war against the old guard.
Shapes of things before my eyes.
Before Led Zeppelin or Cream, the Yardbirds were already experimenting with heavy, distorted sound that pointed directly toward hard rock. Shapes of Things featured Jeff Beck's innovative guitar work, pushing feedback and sustain into new territory. While other bands were dabbling in psychedelic rock, the Yardbirds infused it with grit and weight. This track blended experimental sounds with a pounding rhythm that hinted at something darker and heavier. Beck's guitar solo especially stood out. It wasn't smooth or traditional but raw, bending notes in ways that felt chaotic yet purposeful. The Yardbirds also served as a training ground for three of the greatest guitarists of all time, Beck, Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page. Their willingness to distort rock's boundaries helped pave the way for the harder, louder sound of the late 60s.
Come tomorrow, will I be older?
Shapes of Things was the moment rock realized it could be both experimental and heavy at the same time.
I'll soon be with you, my love. Give you my dawn surprise.
When Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker formed Cream, they created a new template for heavy rock power trios. Sunshine of Your Love was their defining track, built on a hypnotic riff that combined blues traditions with raw heaviness. Bruce's bass line and Clapton's fuzzy guitar tone locked together to create a groove that was both slow-burning and thunderous. Unlike the fast, upbeat rock of earlier years, this song felt heavier, almost dragging under its own weight in a way that became the backbone of hard rock. Clapton's solo work here was also groundbreaking, pushing the boundaries of sustain and distortion. More than just a hit,
Stay with you till my seas are dried up.
Sunshine of Your Love showed that blues could be transformed into something far louder and more powerful. Its riff-driven style became the DNA of countless hard rock songs that followed, influencing everyone from Led Zeppelin to Black Sabbath. If one song defined a leap into hard rock, it was Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze. From the moment that iconic guitar riff hits, it's clear this was unlike anything before. Hendrix's use of distortion feedback and the fuzz pedal created a wall of sound that was both chaotic and controlled. He transformed the electric guitar from just an instrument into a weapon of raw energy and expression. The song itself blended psychedelic themes with sheer heaviness, capturing the wild experimentation of the late 60s, but grounding it in riffs that were unforgettable. Hendrix's stage presence, burning guitars, played with his teeth, smashing amps, added to the legend.
That girl put a spell on me.
Purple Haze was more than a song. It was a cultural moment that defined what rock could be when pushed to the edge. Without Hendrix, the guitar-driven sound of hard rock would have taken much longer to arrive.
Kill for the summertime blues.
Many consider Blue Cheer's version of Summertime Blues the first true heavy metal recording. While Eddie Cochran's original was a catchy rockabilly number, Blue Cheer took it and turned everything up to 11. The guitars were loud, the distortion was crushing, and the drumming was relentless. Released in 1968, this version shocked listeners with just how noisy and aggressive it sounded compared to everything else on the radio. The band's raw, almost unrefined power set them apart from their peers. Critics often dismiss them as too loud, but fans embraced the sheer heaviness. This track showed that rock could go beyond rebellion. It could become a sonic assault. Without Blue Cheer, the path from hard rock to heavy metal might have taken longer. They proved that volume itself could be an artistic statement, inspiring future generations to push their amps as far as they could go. When most people think of the Beatles, they think of love songs and psychedelic pop. But Helter Skelter was something else entirely. Paul McCartney wanted to create the loudest, dirtiest rock song ever recorded, and the result was pure chaos. The distorted guitar riffs were wild, the drumming thunderous, and the vocals screamed with raw energy. For many fans, it was the heaviest thing they had ever heard from the world's most famous band. While the Beatles weren't known as pioneers of hard rock, Helter Skelter showed they could dive headfirst into heavy territory when they wanted to. Its unpolished energy and raw aggression influenced countless hard rock and even early metal bands. It was proof that even the clean-cut Beatles could unleash absolute mayhem when inspired, making this track one of the most surprising and influential songs of the 60s.
Little girl, she's on my mind. No doubt about it, she looks so fine. She's
Before Deep Purple became known for heavy classics like Smoke on the Water, they first grabbed attention with Hush. This track combined driving rhythms, powerful organ riffs, and a hard-hitting groove that felt heavier than most of its peers. John Lord's organ playing gave a unique edge, blending blues rock with something more aggressive. Unlike many 60s tracks, Hush wasn't just about catchy melodies. It was about force, volume, and attitude. It laid the groundwork for Deep Purple's transition into one of the most influential hard rock bands of the 70s. Listening back, you can hear the DNA of what would later become heavy metal, pounding beats, big riffs, and a sense of urgency. Hush may not always get the same recognition as Zeppelin or Sabbath, but was a critical stepping stone in the evolution of hard rock. When Whole Lotta Love dropped in 1969, it was clear the game had changed. Jimmy Page's monstrous riff became the blueprint for hard rock guitar. Robert Plant's high-pitched wails, John Bonham's thunderous drumming, and John Paul Jones' deep bass created a sound so heavy it practically invented a new genre. What set this track apart wasn't just its riff, but its power and intensity. It was unapologetically heavy, and it resonated with audiences worldwide. The mid-song breakdown pushed sonic boundaries, with psychedelic experimentation mixing into the heaviness. Zeppelin wasn't just another rock band. They became the gold standard for what hard rock should sound like. Whole Lotta Love was a song that announced hard rock had officially arrived, and it set the tone for everything that came after, from Aerosmith to Guns N' Roses. Closing out the decade, Gimme Shelter showed how dark and apocalyptic rock could feel. While the Stones were often associated with bluesy swagger, this track had an ominous edge. From a haunting guitar riff to Mary Clayton's chilling backing vocals, Gimme Shelter captured the chaos of the late 60s, war, unrest, and cultural upheaval. But musically, it was also a step toward hard rock's atmospheric side. The song wasn't about speed or volume. It was about mood, tension, and release. Its heavy undertones and dark vibe influenced countless rock bands that wanted to capture not just sound but feeling. More than just a song, it became a soundtrack for a turbulent era. And in doing so, it solidified the Stones' place not only as rock legends, but as early architects of the hard rock aesthetic. The 60s gave us more than great music. It gave birth to an entirely new sound. These 10 tracks laid the foundation for hard rock and even heavy metal, inspiring generations to turn up the volume and push boundaries. If you enjoyed this look back, don't forget to subscribe, and keep rocking with us.